Hello, YouTubers. This is RobBriz95 here with Magic the History. I got my little script here. I didn't memorize it. Don't really have much time. I'm just going to do a brief overview of. I'm not going to give it a detailed part. We're doing Dominaria first. There's just too much to go into in 10 minutes. So I'll give you a brief overview of everything we're going to talk about. So Dominaria, into itself, is the keystone plane, as it were, of the multiverse. The older planeswalkers called it Dominia. Dominaria was the song of Dominia. Yada yada yada. Anyway, Dominaria has had many famous faces and characters and realms. The Tolarian Academy was there. Urza Mishra, Sisay Gerard, Yawgmoth Karn. Venser comes from Urborg, which is where the tomb of Yawgmoth was, where Phyrexia had taken hold on Dominaria. Lord Windgrace, Baron Zangir, all these famous figures in Magic history come from there. It's also where the only physical gate to the realm of Phyrexia was, in the caves of Koilos, the caves of Koilos, above the caves of Koilos. I don't remember the name of the city, but the continent used to be called Terracer, when the Thran ruled it before 0 AR. AR stands for Years of Argavian Reckoning, so that's how it's measured, in Years of Argavian Reckoning. Argavia was a country that was formed from Geld and Balduvia merging. And in the year 0 AR was when Urza was born, and later that year, at the end of the year, was when Mishra was born. Um, forgive me for getting so close here. Anyway, so Dominaria is a very interesting place. You have some very interesting characters. Dominaria was like Zendikar. It was rich with mana and resources and things of that nature, and planeswalkers used it to. I mean, you'll there are artifacts from many different realms there that appeared there. Um, you know, the Thran left behind lots and lots of artifacts, but others came from different realms. Kamigawa, things like that. Mirrodin. Well, not Mirrodin, because Mirrodin was created by Karn. But Kamigawa and Ravnica, things like that. And other realms they kind of allude to in the early books that I don't think there have actually been sets of yet. Anyway, but I digress. So it was once a and rich and vibrant plane full of mana. After the Phyrexian War, between when Urza destroyed Yawgmoth and destroyed the realm of Phyrexia, uh, I believe the realm just became vacant and barren. I mean, there's still mana and whatnot, but it wasn't as lush as it was. And I think it was can't remember the person's exact name. It was oh, I think it was a spell called the Song of Life or something like that to restore the balance. But either way, Dominaria is basically large chunks of it are a barren wasteland that had just become desolate because of the destruction of Phyrexia. When Phyrexia merged with Dominaria, yada yada yada. We'll get to all that. So we'll of course in the next episode start with Thran. We'll go from there. Since the Thran they should be first because they come before Urza, way before Urza. In fact, it was Urza's studying when he was younger with his brother Mishra, studying, and then their mentor Tokasia, studying of the Thran artifacts like the dynamo and the lens and things like that, studying these artifacts and excavating them, that piqued his interest in art and maybe being an artificer. And he kind of pulled away from being a archaeologist and became more an artificer himself. And that's where you got a lot of the artifacts that were left behind after the Brothers' War. Because after the Brothers' War, you get the Ice Age and things like that. And the Thran artifacts became a little bit more scarce, because Urza would use them, or Mishra would use them in conjunction with, making their war machines or power armor, or the skyship Weatherlight, things like that, and skyships in general. The Weatherlight was a throwback to the Thran had skyships. So, um, and then they both had the might. Like Urza had the might stone, Mishra had the meek stone. They each desired it, and I'll get into how the might and the meek stones are actually the locks to the gate to Phyrexia in the caves of Koilos. Um, and I recommend if everyone really gets the chance to read this book. That's by J. Robert King. It's the Thran. It's the prequel to the Brothers' War, at least according to Wizards of the Coast. Because after this comes, if you don't want to buy these like 4 or 5 books, I recommend you get the two Artifact Cycle 1 an omnibus, and then Artifact Cycle 2 an omnibus, because it's all of the books in one. And I think even the Thran is actually in the Artifact Cycle 1, so you can just buy those 2 books instead of having to buy the 5 or whatever books it is. So, we'll start with the Thran. It should be fun. I'm gonna hope to. The episodes may get a little longer in some cases. Like the Thran episode may be pretty long because I'll be talking about the origins of Phyrexia within the Thran talks, because Yawgmoth discovered Phyrexia. In this book, it tells you all about it. I can't stress how good a book this is. I've currently acquired every single book in the series. Again, I had them all at one point, but over time they either fell apart, or I lost them, or I lent them to people, and yada yada yada. So I'm rereading all of them. I'm actually on one. It's called Ashes of the Sun. It's about minotaurs and things like that. It's about the Anuba shamans and stuff like that. So, Song of Time, I believe, is next, which is about the Armageddon Clock. One of my favorite cards, actually. Until next time, I'm sorry this hasn't been too informative. It's just, like I said, a brief rundown of Dominaria. What we're going to talk about. We'll start with, Urza, Mishra, Tokasia, the Thran. We'll do the Thran and then go forward. And I've got my script here. It's quite a few pages of what I typed up to, from different things and yada yada yada. We're going to get into, how when Balduvia and Geldor formed, you've got a lot of the famous academies and schools. Cards like Academy Rector appeared, Teleria, things like that, Tolarian Academy. And then we'll move forward. I'll go step by step for everyone. So I'm looking forward to the Ice Age. It's probably going to be one of my favorites, because that was my personal favorite set. Most people didn't like it. I loved Ice Age. I don't know what it was about it. The whole new mechanic with the snow-covered land. The cumulative upkeep thing I could have done without, because that got a pain in the butt. But anyway, rate, comment, and subscribe. I am gonna throw up a trade binder video, so I'm only gonna trade maybe one or two people at a time, and the U.S. Postal Service is kind of rubbing me the wrong way. Anyway, I digress. We'll get into everything. So I will put up I'm going to do more episodes. I'm going to try and do 2 a week. I'm going to try. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get things going. I'm super busy sometimes. Yes, thank you for coming to Dominaria with me, even though it was a brief visit. And then next time we will get into more in-depth. I'm going to just stick to the Thran in the next episode. I'm not going to, wind down many different paths, which, if you've been watching, will probably be hard for me, because I tend to digress. Anyway, until next time, YouTube, this has been Robert Brizendine 5 with Magic the History. And rate, comment, and subscribe.